Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute word or phrase bracelet. You'll need a few supplies. Those supplies consist of some shrink plastic that you can buy off of Amazon, some Sharpies, color pencils, maybe some eyeshadow or powdered pigments, about 20 8mm beads, some elastic thread, and also some super glue, and you'll figure out all the need for those supplies coming up soon. So I hope you enjoy your project. Hello. So today we're going to start off with our little charm piece on our bracelet, and right now it's white. And that's fine. If you want to keep it stark white, there is no shame in that. I just noticed with the natural beads that I used to create the necklace, it was very bright. So I kind of wanted to create a technique that would kind of take down the brightness and kind of maybe give it some color or some antiquing. So this is shrink plastic, and it's going to shrink down 20%. So we're probably going to end up with a shrink charm that's about that size. So also, not only does the color give it a lot of accent and does our charm shrink down 20% of this size, it'll also get darker. So when you're putting on color, just a tip, make sure it's very light because it'll probably get at least 3 to 5 times darker than your original charm before it shrunk. So to do the color, I've created kind of two techniques. One, you can use color pencils very lightly. You can use powder pigments. So maybe you have powder pigments for scrapbooking or painting. You can use pastels, but you need to find the very lightest colors because they will become at least 3 to 5 times darker. So with that being said, I didn't have any powder pigments. The only thing that I had were eyeshadow palettes. So this is one of the eyeshadow palettes that I went ahead and grabbed. So what I'm going to do is just pick a couple of colors. So I'm probably going to pick, let's see, this lightest color. And then maybe a super shimmer, but I think I'm going to go more on the pink side. So I'm going to pick this color, and this shimmery color for the outside. So I'm going to start in the middle. Typically in my classrooms, I give everybody Q-tips, but I feel like I have a lot more control when it comes to this technique just by using my finger. So I'm going to start off with the lightest color. And then I'm just going to, oh, real quick before I start. So your piece has two sides, a shiny side and a matte side. So we are going to do everything on the matte side. So with that being said, we're just going to go in with our lightest color and then we're just going to blend. And I know it looks like it's hardly there, but believe me, when you shrink it down, it will show up. So right in the center, I'm just going to go in with the lightest color. Working from the inside out. Layer as much as you want. I'm going to stop right there. Then I'm going to go with this pink color. So taking that other pink color, we're just going to kind of work around the color we just placed and just blend it out. And this is just simply the technique I'm using. You can probably use any technique that you want to use. If you wanted it one color, that's fine. Few colors don't ever seem like it's an option for me. I always want to go for bigger and better things. And then I'm going to just do on the outside, you know, just touch and bring it out, the shimmery color, and then just blend it into my other colors. Okay, now we're gonna just really blend those colors all together. Maybe even wiping some of them off. I think that's good. I think that is exactly what I want. Then I'm going to take a Sharpie. So you can use a traditional Sharpie fine point. I call it traditional because that's what I mostly use. You can use this very, very thin fine point or something really chunky. It just depends on the look that you want. My word for the year is cherish. So CHERISH. So I believe E is the center of it. Let me get a scrapbook piece of paper. Okay, so to find my center, I will write my word. And R and I. Let's see, R is my center. So I'm going to start from what looks like the center for me. And I'm just going to do an R. And then I'm going to work my way out. And then I'm going to work my way out the other way, which cherish is kind of hard because the C is so big. But do you know what? I'm good with that because handmade things are not perfect. And they're all different. So here we go. We have our little placard that has our word of the year. If you have really fine point Sharpie or permanent marker or marker of any kind, you can write a Bible verse because there's quite a bit of room to work on this. So now we're going to go up to my little toaster oven. And I'm going to put it probably at 350 to 400 degrees, and I'm going to shrink this. And it will get a little crazy when you watch it shrink because it'll look like it's getting to be a shriveled mess, but it will eventually level out and be 20% of this size. All right, so as you can see, it shrunk down very small, and it is much darker than the original version. But I'm going to go ahead and grab some more of my shadow and go ahead and take down the white on the sides, just so it's not too stark. Just a tiny bit. All right, there is our chart. All right, so we're gonna pick up right where we left off. So it's been a little bit of time since I filmed the first half of the video, but that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and take our charm that we wrote on and that we shrunk. And typically, if you are taking my class, you're gonna know that I've glazed my charm and I have set it in a UV light. So it's a UV, basically fingernail polish. I do not recommend you using anything else because it will make your Sharpie run. So just leave it like it is, unless you do happen to have UV glaze with a UV light. Then you can go ahead and use that. Otherwise, do not use anything that's alcohol-based. I'm not trying any water-based sealant. That might be able to seal this, but let's just go ahead. And in order to keep our writing nice and neat and not smeared all over the place, we're just not going to glaze it. So what we're going to need for this step is our charm and about 20 beads. So here I have some wooden beads and I have some semi-precious stones. If you have purchased my kit, it might not have all 8mm beads. It might have all kinds of different beads. But the main thing is that you want your line. So this is stretchy elastic. And that's what we're going to tie our rubber or our bracelet with. So onto our charm. So the main thing is that you want it to fit around your wrist. So everybody's wrist is different. So the main thing is that you really want it to fit your wrist kind of tight, because it'll stretch over your knuckles. So we're going to go ahead and start off with, see the holes? We're going to go ahead and put our elastic thread through the hole, and we're just going to do a basic square knot. I do 4 like knots. So 2, 3, and 4. And you want to make sure, I give you guys in my kit, or if you're cutting your own piece, you want to make sure that it's going to go around your wrist twice. It makes it easier to tie knots. It makes it easier to tie it off. So the next thing you're going to need is some super glue. This isn't exactly super glue, but I couldn't find my super glue. This is Ultimate by Annie's, but I prefer super glue over anything. So if you have some super glue in your pantry or in your drawer, that's what I prefer, quick dry glue. We're going to go ahead and string 1 bead, and that bead is going to fit over both strands. So we tied our 4 knots, our 4 square knots with an extra tail, sorry. So see how it goes through both of them? We went ahead to bring it over both. So we're going to pull that bead out just a little bit, and we're going to open up our glue. And then on our knot, we are just going to give us a little drop. That's all we need, is a little drop. Then we're going to pull that bead over that knot, and we're going to let it kind of dry. It doesn't have to be super dry, but it does have to not be tacky anymore. So let's let that dry for a minute. And then you're going to go ahead and, lay out your pattern. So here I'm just going to do every other. However many beads you have will determine what your pattern will look like. So we're just going to lay out that pattern, and then we're going to go ahead and bead everything on here. And then I'll be back and show you how to finish it off. All right, so now we have all of our beads beaded. We're going to run the end of our charm through. I've already filmed this and deleted it. So here we're at. So here we are with a do-over. So we're going to thread all of our we're going to thread our elastic through the beads, and then we're going to thread it through our charm. And this is where we're going to tie it off. Pull it tight, making sure that there's no gaps in your bracelet. You're going to then attempt to make 4 more knots, just like we did on the other side. It's just a little bit more complicated on this side. So what you're going to do is, hopefully you can see this well. So we're going to take our finger, we're going to wrap our thread around our finger and around the beaded thread. So we have a little loop here. Then we're going to take that loop and we're going to pull it over the end of our thread and pull that nice and tight. Now we're going to do that 3 more times. one more time around our finger. It's really hard to see. Let me move this and see if you can see it. So just in case you haven't got it, around our finger, around the bracelet part, we pull our tail up and we bring our little loop up and over our elastic thread. Pull it out and tie that tight. We are going to then take our little glue and we're going to put a dot right on our knot, making sure that we feed the end, the tail, through our first bead, sliding that bead right over our knot. So then we have our tail through our first bead on the beginning side and on the ending side, and from there we're just going to trim those knots off. Let this dry before stretching it and putting it on. So it looks small now, but remember it does stretch over your wrist. And if you have a little bit of a bigger wrist, then add a few more beads. If you have a smaller wrist, go ahead and use less beads. A couple of tips. If you get your stretch cord, this one's a 0.5 millimeter. I prefer a 0.8 millimeter, but if this does seem too thin, and this is what you've either gotten with your kit or purchased, go ahead and double it up. All the same steps are the same. You're just doubling up your string. Also, another tip is that if you have a little piece of fleece or a towel, a terry cloth that has little fibers, this will keep your beads from like rolling off. Your table. So see how they roll, and they will not roll if you have something that has a lot of fibrous texture. Also, if you've bought a kit from me, that is really smart because you probably will have just enough beads to complete your bracelet. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little project. If you have any questions, please comment below or find me on Instagram. And my Instagram handle is @made.with.love.boutique. So that's Made with Love Boutique with dots in between. Tag me. And you can also hashtag Mariah Sassy Fashions. I'd love to see your completed bracelets. And until next time, we shall see you later. Bye.